Does a competitive Madden player or football simulator gamer uh, is the best judge for a NFL coach's game day acumen? Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna defer this to Chris and Sterling on this one here. Um,
Let me set the stage here a little bit, and then you guys can interject on it once I've established the thesis of my argument. And I fully acknowledge the thesis of my argument is coming on the heels of us just trashing the shit out of Madden as an incompetent shit show. But I do believe there is a serious lack of savvy game day coaching at the NFL level. I'd argue the average competitive Madden player is far more sophisticated at game day decisions than the average NFL coach. So, to set the stage for this discussion, here's the numbers I'm going to hit you with. And first, let me run down what we're talking about here. The decisions that a coach makes on game day are virtually identical to the decisions that somebody playing Madden makes every time they play the game. The specific decisions we're talking about here are the usage of timeouts, your clock management, your fourth down decisions, your 2 point calls, your replays to challenge, and penalties on whether or not to accept them. And what I believe, and what I have argued quite a bit on Twitter primarily, is that most of the NFL coaches are absolutely shoddy, if not atrocious, at game day management. And we live in an era where a game like Madden allows people to play the game and make those decisions on a repetitive basis. And there's high level competitive gaming, like we were just talking about. We play full 15-minute quarters. We have guys that study film on each other, the game plan, that strategize, all these different things. And when you're playing in these high pressure situations, the decision making, the theory behind the decision making, and the impetus behind these decisions is the exact same. You want to win the game. You want to control the clock. You want to own possession of the ball as much as possible. So the average NFL coach is 42 years old. Their average amount of experience is 12 years as a head coach. The game experience, how many times they've been in charge, and we're not talking about their time as a player or an assistant coach or any of those things, because a lot of Madden players all have that same kind of background. We're just talking as the man in charge making the decision. So 12 years with an average of what I went with was 20 regular season games a year, which is 18 regular or 17 regular season games, three preseason games, and then an average of 2 playoff games per year. So 22 games of decision making an average NFL coach can get per year. Over a 12-year career, bringing them up to where they presently would be, that is 264 games of decision making on these plays, on these timeouts, on all of this different stuff. Now, for us, we play a competitive Madden League. We basically play one game every day, sometimes every other day. It amounts to basically 19 games every 3 weeks. Some play more, some play less, but we're just talking about all in on one Madden League. That turns out to be 323 games per year. Every year, the experience of 12 years, actually 13 years of head coaching experience. That's a whole lot of seat time with the decision making. That's a whole lot of seeing the results of those decisions, seeing how it plays out over the long haul, because a lot of the theories behind the statistics of why you make decisions in a football game are very much like poker. In any given instance, situation, you could make the call and it could be the right call, but the outcome could go wrong. But if you make that call over and over again in similar situations over the long term, it's going to
Right.
come out in your favor. So my argument, and I'll turn it over to you guys on which one that wants to jump on this first, is that the average competitive Madden player is actually smarter and more savvy on the decision making of football on a game day experience level than the average NFL coach, or at the very least is intellectually qualified to be judging these motherfuckers on Twitter and saying exactly why they're morons getting paid millions of dollars to make a decision that is so basic and simple they overcomplicated it. Who wants to jump on this first?
I do. I'll jump on this first. So, yeah, I think there's some merit to what you're saying. I think when you add in, 60,000 screaming fans, and the pressure of the moment. Because I don't think you can really get that from Madden. Yeah, so there's I think there's
But
you can
that
go
pressure
into,
shouldn't be influencing your decisions.
but pressure does influence people's decisions,
Absolutely, if
right? It's
you're a
situational,
spineless mediocre coach,
right? And then there are some,
most of them.
but pressure in those moments definitely can get the best of you. Even the most tried and true strategists or head coaches, I would say, would admit that sometimes the emotion of it all, and it'll get the best of you. So like I think from when you look at it from a macro point of view, just making the decision of clock management and so forth. Yeah, I would say that there's people out there who play Madden that can totally do that aspect. I mean, to the point to where you have NFL teams like the Broncos going in and hiring people to help you with clock management, right? So if they could do that, I think there's something to be said that somebody who's playing a bunch of Madden, like if we have flight simulators, if we have,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, think about all the situational simulation
Mental
that
reps.
mental reps and stuff. Yeah, there's something to be said about somebody who's on the couch playing Madden all the time could probably come in and help you manage a game when it comes to clock management and making some decisions.
And as far as that pressure element goes, isn't that also something else that the more games you coach and the more games you experience, the less that pressure influences your decisions in the moment?
It's different. I think at that level you got to think there's salaries involved. There's a lot of things like there's pressure that owners put on coaches and players that for success that they want. And so you got these coaches. Sometimes we sit on one side and we say, I don't understand why he made that decision, right? But when you if you were to talk to the coach without having to worry about what he'd probably be like, yo, I've been pressured by the owner to da 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 da. Like here's a case in point example. This is what I heard from NFL circles. The whole Tua thing. I think I shared some of this on the show. So Brian Flores did not want Tua to play, but Stephen Ross, the owner, wanted Tua to play. Then I'm not talking about this year. This is last year. So you remember when Fitzpatrick and Tua was doing
Yeah.
that whole platooning bullshit? That
Mm-hmm.
was all the owner.
Yeah.
Brian Flores did not want that. But Brian Flores is the one that had to answer the questions and act like he was a good soldier and go along with whatever the decision that was like it was his decision. But Stephen Ross was the one, he was Geppetto. So I don't know. I just think there's two ways to look at it.
Ghost brings up a really good point that I agree with. That as we move forward, and we've seen this with the quarterbacks over the last 10 years or so, that quarterbacks are much more savvy, much more better at reading defenses, much more ahead of the game on their mental knowledge and growth of the sport. But Ghost is saying that as you see these younger players that grew up on Madden start evolving and making it into the coaching ranks, that you're going to see that evolve and change. And to some extent, I think that's starting to slip into the league with some of these younger guys that are coaching and more aware of this stuff. But I still feel like there's just far too many of the old guard guys that just they
Yeah,
make the decision simply because that's the way the decision's always been made.
yeah. I can totally understand that.
And I gotta just say, I gotta agree with Sterling on this one, because there is the added, uh, s- the exterior factors. Let's just call them like that, from higher ups. And you got people salaries, people depending on you as well. But to say what Chris is saying, yeah, there are some aspects to where it's specifically clock management is where I'm kind of talking about, because and look, I play a lot of Madden, but I'm no Sean Payton. Okay, I'll be the first one to say that. But whenever Sean Payton had that NFC championship round where the infamous no call happened, the one thing that stood out to me was it was the second play where he decided to, or it was the first where he decided to pass the ball, and I was like, why wouldn't you run the clock? You can get into a little closer to field goal range. The clock is running, so if anything would happen, and I want to say that they had the lead, they would have to use a timeout. The Rams would have to use a timeout. And I think they only had like one left, and I was just running through that, and I was like, this is the same shit that I would have did on Madden. And but to backtrack and say, um, to backtrack to the event that me and my family was at the Chiefs and Texans game. My nephew was there and he plays Madden. He's a high school footballer, and the one thing he kept saying throughout that whole game was, "In Madden, they would have did this. In Madden, they would have did that. In Madden, 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 Madden." Everything was referred to as in Madden, and it's like, dude, you play high school ball, like you can, what's going. But Madden was always what he referred to was like, if this was Madden, he should have did this, he should have did that, he should have did that. So I do think that how Ghost just said that people that have grown up on it, it's becoming a part of their game,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of interested to see how this league takes that and how they move forward with it. But um, and Ghost also said that Sean McVay and like younger coaches and shit, they put that into the.
There's just some things, and I'm going to bring you a perfect example. I just saw this past week's game. I can't remember what game it was. It wasn't the Bills game, but it was one of the nationally televised games. There's just some things that I see every single week that 100 professional people involved with the sport, not one of them should, like somebody should be losing their mind that this is the decision we're making as a collective, as a group. And my example is, it was like first and 10 from the half-yard line going out for the offense, and the play clock was running down, and the coach saw that they were about to take a delay of game penalty, and this motherfucker used a timeout. Do either one of you guys understand why that's a completely ridiculous decision to make in that situation? What's the penalty for delay of game on the half-yard line?
Delay a game is the loss of down.
What now? What do you ask?
He said delay of game on the hash.
The play clock runs out. You get a delay of game penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 5 yards.
What's the enforcement if you're on your own half-yard line?
Oh, it's
Oh, you mean?
Oh,
You talking about? They move. Yeah, they move it half is
the goal.
half the distance to the goal, but
It's
like,
a 2.5-inch penalty.
Yeah.
And oh, we're gonna get the delay game. We gotta get that timeout in. Like how are you at the professional level?
Okay.
And you don't know the trade off there is better to keep your timeout.
Let's make this make sense then. So let's talk about what happened this past Sunday with the Raiders and the Patriots.
Okay.
So last play of the game, they decide they're gonna run the ball. They ran the ball. Like, y'all noticed that? Like,
Yeah.
they ran a running play at the 50-yard line.
It's because their quarterback's got a rag on.
Right? Why wouldn't you just kneel it out or throw a Hail Mary? Why are you going to run the ball? It don't make no sense. The odds of you running a touchdown on that play has got to be 1%, 2%. Versus a throw gives you higher odds. Higher risk.
Yeah.
But you ran the ball and then you still lost because Jacoby Myers made a bonehead play.
Because he wrapped the L1 button, did a stupid lateral, and lost like you're supposed to.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
It almost gonna come out that game.
Chris is hurt. My man's hurt.